What if a mother's darkest secret was so horrifying, she was willing to sacrifice her own children to keep it buried? This chilling true crime story from Houston, Texas will leave you questioning the extremes to which people will go to guard their secrets. Brace yourself as we dive into a case where love and betrayal collide in the most unimaginable way. Meet Lisa Mitchell, a 38-year-old devoted mother and well-respected nurse in Houston, Texas. To her community, Lisa was the epitome of a loving and responsible parent. Her patients admired her gentle demeanor, and neighbors often saw her as the anchor of her family, always ready with a warm smile and a helping hand. Lisa's children, Emily, 10, and Jake, 8, were the light of her life. Emily was a bright and curious girl with a passion for painting, while Jake, with his boundless energy, loved sports and adventure. The bond between Lisa and her children seemed unbreakable. They were often seen enjoying family outings, and Lisa's social media was filled with heartwarming snapshots of their joyful moments together. Yet, beneath this seemingly perfect exterior lay a dark and sinister secret. Lisa had been entangled in a dangerous and illicit affair with a shadowy figure, a local criminal who went by the name of Victor Reyes. Reyes was known in criminal circles for his involvement in organized crime, and his connection to Lisa was shrouded in secrecy. Lisa's outwardly normal life, her career, her community involvement, her role as a loving mother, was a carefully constructed facade. As she juggled the demands of her job and the needs of her children, she was also trying to hide the dangerous web she had spun with Reyes. The more she tried to maintain her image of a perfect mother, the deeper she sank into the perilous world she was trying to conceal. This duality of Lisa's life sets the stage for a shocking turn of events. As we delve deeper into this harrowing tale, you'll see how the desire to protect a dangerous secret led to a heart-wrenching tragedy that no one could have anticipated. The Mitchell family lived in a quaint suburban neighborhood in Houston, Texas. Their home, a cozy two-story house with a white picket fence and a well-tended garden, looked like any other typical family residence in the area. The street was lined with similar houses, where neighbors exchanged friendly waves and children played on the sidewalks. The Mitchells appeared to be just another family enjoying a slice of the American dream. However, beneath this picturesque facade, a storm was brewing. The secret began to unravel during a seemingly ordinary evening at the Mitchell household. Lisa had just finished dinner and tucked Emily and Jake into bed when she received a late-night call from Victor Reyes, the man whose dark presence was creeping into every corner of her life. The conversation between Lisa and Reyes took place in the dimly lit kitchen, the room where Lisa usually found solace after a long day. The kitchen, with its cheerful yellow walls and well-stocked pantry, was a stark contrast to the gravity of their conversation. Reyes's voice was cold and menacing, filled with the threat of exposure that Lisa feared more than anything. The conversation was about a deal gone wrong, money that had gone missing, and incriminating evidence that could unravel Reyes's criminal empire. Lisa had inadvertently become involved in a scheme far beyond her control, and the consequences of this mistake were dire. Reyes made it clear that if Lisa did not comply with his demands, he would reveal the details of their association and destroy her life, leaving her career and her family in ruins. Lisa's desperation grew as she tried to balance the threat from Reyes with the need to protect her children. To keep her secret, she was forced to engage in increasingly dangerous cover-ups, all while maintaining her role as the loving mother her children knew and adored. They remained blissfully unaware of the peril that was slowly creeping into their lives, their world of school and play untouched by the sinister reality lurking behind the scenes. As Lisa's fear and anxiety mounted, her efforts to shield her children from the impending danger only drew them further into the web of deceit. The tension between maintaining a normal life and hiding a dark secret set the stage for a tragedy that would shake their seemingly perfect world to its core. As the days passed, the weight of Lisa's secret began to take a toll on her once calm and composed demeanor. The mounting pressure from Reyes and the fear of exposure started manifesting in unsettling ways. Her behavior grew increasingly erratic and unpredictable, revealing cracks in her previously polished facade. At home, Lisa's once warm and comforting presence became fraught with tension. She would often snap at Emily and Jake over minor missteps, her patience wearing thin. She seemed perpetually distracted, her mind racing even during simple family activities. Her friends and neighbors, who once admired her for her kindness and reliability, began to notice subtle but disturbing changes. Lisa's anxiety was palpable. She frequently avoided eye contact, her hands trembled slightly, and she would abruptly change the subject if conversations veered too close to topics she wanted to avoid. She began to make up excuses for sudden, unexplained absences, long trips to run errands or meet with colleagues that never seemed to add up. These absences coincided with her covert dealings and meetings with Reyes, which she was desperate to keep hidden. Her paranoia escalated to the point where she started to view her own children as potential threats. In moments of heightened stress, she would worry that Emily and Jake might accidentally reveal something they overheard or seen. Lisa became overly cautious, locking doors obsessively and monitoring her children's interactions with others with a scrutinizing eye. The once harmonious and secure home now felt like a pressure cooker, with Lisa trapped in a cycle of fear and desperation. Neighbors noticed her increasing isolation. She would avoid community gatherings, and her once friendly demeanor became distant and withdrawn. Friends who reached out were met with curt, hurried responses. To those who were close to her, it was clear that something was deeply amiss, though the specifics remained elusive. Lisa felt cornered by her own choices, struggling to maintain the illusion of normalcy while grappling with the fear that her world was unraveling. The burden of keeping the secret was suffocating, and the anxiety of being discovered made her feel as though she was living on the edge of a precipice, with her children unwittingly entangled in the precarious balance she was desperately trying to maintain. In early March 2024, the quiet suburb of Houston was jolted by a horrifying discovery. The lifeless bodies of Emily and Jake Mitchell were found in their own home, and the scene that greeted investigators was one of chilling despair and unsettling calm. The bodies were discovered by Lisa's neighbor, who had grown concerned after noticing that the family's house was eerily silent and uncharacteristically dark. When he entered through the front door, which had been left ajar, he was met with an unnerving stillness. The usual signs of life, laughter, chatter, the hum of a television, were absent, replaced by an oppressive quiet. The scene was staged with chilling precision. Emily and Jake were found in their respective beds, positioned as though they were simply asleep. The children's faces, serene in their final repose, were a stark contrast to the horror of their actual fate. Emily's room was meticulously arranged, her favorite stuffed animals lined up neatly beside her, while Jake's bed was disheveled, his sports gear scattered around. It was a disconcerting tableau of normalcy marred by an undercurrent of sinister intent. Investigators noted that there were no immediate signs of forced entry or struggle. The house, though empty of its inhabitants, was unsettlingly intact. The kitchen remained spotless, the dining table set as if waiting for a meal, and family photographs on the walls seemed to mock the tragedy with their frozen smiles. The only indication of something amiss was a faint, acrid smell that permeated the house, hinting at the method Lisa had used to ensure her children would not awaken. As the forensic team delved deeper, the full horror of the crime began to emerge. The initial appearance of an accident was quickly dispelled as evidence pointed to a more deliberate act. The investigation revealed that Lisa had carefully planned the scene to mislead any inquiries. Toxicology reports later confirmed that the children had been poisoned, a grim method chosen to avoid physical harm and minimize any signs of violence. The community was rocked by the revelation. Neighbors, who had once admired Lisa's apparent dedication as a mother, were now grappling with the unfathomable truth. The news spread like wildfire, leaving a trail of grief and disbelief. The image of Lisa as a loving parent had been shattered, replaced by the haunting reality of her actions. The quiet, suburban neighborhood that once seemed so safe was now forever altered by the tragedy that had unfolded behind closed doors. The investigation into the tragic deaths of Emily and Jake Mitchell was led by seasoned detectives from the Houston Police Department who were determined to uncover the truth behind the chilling scene. Detectives involved: Detective Laura Hayes, a veteran investigator with a sharp eye for detail, and Detective Marcus Cole, known for his tenacity and experience in high-stakes cases, were the lead detectives on this case. Their combined expertise was crucial in navigating the complex web of lies and deceit that surrounded the Mitchell family. Forensic evidence. Initial forensic evidence at the crime scene appeared inconclusive. The house was meticulously clean, and the apparent absence of a struggle made the investigation challenging. However, as forensic teams began their work, subtle clues started to surface. Blood analysis revealed trace amounts of a rare and potent poison in Emily and Jake's systems. This poison had been administered in such small doses that it initially evaded detection, only becoming apparent through thorough chemical analysis. Unusual bruising patterns on the children's bodies suggested that the poison had been introduced in a methodical manner. Investigators noted inconsistencies in the children's physical condition compared to the seemingly peaceful scene. The detectives discovered that the poison had been administered through a series of carefully placed doses over time, rather than a single, obvious act of violence. Interviews. The detectives began by interviewing Lisa Mitchell, whose demeanor was a mix of feigned grief and visible anxiety. Her statements about the events leading up to the deaths were inconsistent and evasive. Detective Hayes noted the discrepancies between Lisa's account of the children's final moments and the physical evidence found at the scene. Neighbors were also interviewed, and their accounts painted a picture of a woman growing increasingly erratic. Many recalled Lisa's odd behavior leading up to the tragedy, her sudden absences, her heightened anxiety, and her attempts to distance herself from the community. Some neighbors mentioned that Lisa had been unusually secretive and had even hinted at fears about someone threatening her family, though she never disclosed the full details. The investigation also delved into Lisa's relationship with Victor Reyes. Interviews with people who were aware of Lisa's connection to Reyes, though not initially obvious, revealed a troubling pattern. Former associates of Reyes and those in his criminal circle were questioned, gradually uncovering Lisa's involvement in illicit activities and her desperate attempts to protect her dangerous secret. Witnesses recounted Lisa's growing paranoia and fear of her secret being exposed. Her erratic behavior and desperate attempts to cover her tracks had left a trail of clues that, when pieced together, revealed a darker motive behind the children's deaths. The detectives uncovered that Lisa had feared her criminal involvement with Reyes would come to light, and in a misguided attempt to protect herself, she had resorted to the unthinkable act of silencing her children. The cumulative evidence, ranging from forensic analysis to witness testimonies, painted a harrowing picture of a mother driven to commit an unimaginable crime in the face of her own unraveling world. The investigation into the deaths of Emily and Jake Mitchell ultimately exposed the horrifying truth behind the seemingly perfect facade of their lives. The trial of Lisa Mitchell was nothing short of a media sensation, a dramatic and emotional event that captured the attention of Houston and beyond. As the courtroom filled with spectators, the gravity of the case became palpable, with each testimony revealing a layer of the dark story. When Lisa's estranged sister, Mary Carter, took the stand, the courtroom was silent except for Mary's trembling voice. She spoke through tears about the joyful times she had shared with Lisa and her children, only to be met with the stark reality of betrayal. Her heart-wrenching account painted a portrait of a loving family forever altered by Lisa's heinous actions. Mary's grief and disillusionment were a powerful reminder of the personal cost of the tragedy. Detective Laura Hayes, who had meticulously investigated the case, provided a chilling recount of the crime scene. Her detailed descriptions of the spotless house, the lifeless bodies of Emily and Jake, and the gradual revelation of the poison used to kill them brought the horror of the crime into sharp focus. Hayes's voice, though steady, was heavy with the weight of the case, and her testimony underscored the painstaking effort that went into uncovering the truth. The courtroom buzzed with tension as Victor Reyes, the shadowy figure in Lisa's life, took the stand. His presence was electric, with everyone keenly aware of his role in the unfolding drama. Reyes spoke with a cold detachment about his manipulative relationship with Lisa, offering a window into the world of threats and coercion that had pushed Lisa to commit the unthinkable. The defense tried to shift the narrative, portraying Lisa as a victim of severe mental illness. Her attorney argued that Lisa's mental state had distorted her perception, leading her to commit the crime in a state of deep psychological distress. They presented psychological evaluations that painted Lisa as a troubled individual, unable to fully grasp the consequences of her actions. This attempt to elicit sympathy was met with skepticism, as it seemed to many to be a thinly veiled effort to avoid responsibility. On the other hand, the prosecution painted a starkly different picture. They portrayed Lisa as a cold and calculating individual, driven by self-preservation rather than mental instability. Their case was built on the meticulous planning Lisa had undertaken, including the careful administration of poison and her efforts to stage the scene to mislead investigators. They presented evidence of Lisa's diary entries and text messages, which documented her escalating anxiety and desperate attempts to keep her secret hidden. These revelations shocked the courtroom, laying bare Lisa's true nature and intentions. One of the most dramatic moments came when Lisa herself took the stand. Her testimony was a whirlwind of emotional outbursts and moments of painful introspection. As she struggled to explain her actions, her tearful apologies and fragmented explanations were met with incredulity. The stark contrast between her emotional turmoil and the calculated nature of her crime was striking, leaving many in the courtroom grappling with the dissonance between her outward appearance and the reality of her actions. In the end, the jury found Lisa Mitchell guilty of murdering her children. The verdict was a moment of somber resolution, bringing closure to a case that had left an indelible mark on everyone involved. As Lisa was led away in handcuffs, the courtroom was filled with a mix of relief and lingering sorrow, a testament to the tragic and harrowing nature of the story that had unfolded before them. The courtroom was steeped in tension as the jury delivered its verdict. Lisa Mitchell was found guilty of the murders of her own children. The room was thick with a mixture of relief and sorrow as the foreman announced the decision. Lisa's reaction was strikingly emotionless. She sat stoically, as if resigned to the fate that had been handed down to her. In a formal sentencing held later that year, Lisa Mitchell was given the maximum penalty, reflecting the gravity of her heinous crime. The judge's words underscored the severity of her actions and the profound impact they had on her children and the community. The sentence marked the end of a tragic chapter for the remaining family members and the neighborhood. The devastation left in the wake of the trial was palpable. Lisa's family was shattered by the loss of Emily and Jake and the revelation of Lisa's betrayal. The community, once vibrant and close-knit, was forever altered by the horror that had unfolded within their midst. The trial had not only exposed a heart-wrenching crime, but had also left a lasting scar on everyone connected to the case. The aftermath of Lisa Mitchell's crime cast a long shadow over both her family and the broader community, with effects that rippled through their lives for years to come. The Mitchell family was irreparably shattered by the loss of Emily and Jake and the revelation of Lisa's actions. Lisa's extended family, including her sister Mary Carter, were left in a state of profound disbelief and grief. Mary and other relatives struggled to come to terms with the dual horror of losing two beloved children and confronting the betrayal of a family member. The emotional toll was immense, leading to strained relationships and deep-seated trauma that would take years to even begin to heal. Lisa's crime created a rift among family members, with some unable to reconcile their memories of Lisa as a loving mother with the brutal reality of her actions. Family gatherings became a painful reminder of the tragedy, and the loss of Emily and Jake lingered as a heavy, unspoken presence. The impact on the family was not only emotional but also practical, as they faced the challenges of dealing with grief, trauma, and the complex aftermath of such a public and painful event. Houston was left in a state of shock and horror following the trial. The case became one of the most chilling and heart-wrenching crimes in recent memory, casting a dark cloud over the community. Residents of the Mitchell suburban neighborhood, once a symbol of safety and normalcy, now bore the weight of a grim legacy. The home where the tragedy occurred became a symbol of the horrors that had unfolded within its walls, and many locals found it difficult to drive past or even think about the once familiar residents. The crime left an indelible mark on those who knew the family and the broader community. Conversations about the case became a regular, haunting topic among neighbors and local media, with the details of the crime serving as a constant, grim reminder of the tragedy. The psychological impact on the community was significant, with many grappling with fear, sadness, and a sense of violation that comes from such an intimate and shocking crime. The Mitchell case also prompted discussions about mental health and the ways in which hidden issues can lead to catastrophic consequences. Support services and counseling resources in the community saw an increase in demand, as people sought to process their own reactions to the crime and find ways to cope with the emotional fallout. In sum, the long-term effects of Lisa Mitchell's crime were profound and far-reaching. The devastation within her family was matched by the lasting impact on her community, making the case a somber chapter in Houston's recent history and a constant reminder of the fragile boundary between outward normalcy and hidden darkness. As we wrap up this harrowing tale, it's clear that this case serves as a stark reminder of how far some people are willing to go to protect their darkest secrets. In the pursuit of safeguarding their own lives, Lisa Mitchell sacrificed the lives of her own children, innocent lives that were meant to be cherished and protected. This tragedy underscores the chilling extremes to which fear and desperation can drive a person, revealing the stark contrast between the outward appearance of normalcy and the disturbing reality that can lie beneath. We invite you to reflect on this case and share your thoughts. Do you believe justice was truly served? How do you think the community and the family can begin to heal from such a profound loss? If you found this video insightful, please like, subscribe, and comment below. Your engagement helps us continue to bring you these compelling stories. We'd love to hear your opinions and thoughts on this case. Thank you for watching.